Most CEOs that I know wake up, open Slack, and then just execute. Whatever tasks, whatever fires, whatever my business needs from me today, I'm just gonna wake up, react to it, get it done. The best CEOs that I know do the opposite. When it comes to how they structure their week, they do not wing it, they plan it. And in this video, I'm going to show you exactly how to structure your week like a top performing CEO so that you can get more work done through focused, clear execution so that you can achieve more and grow bigger without getting stuck in the weeds of your business or drowned in busy work. Okay, let's dive into this. So like I said, the top CEOs I know do not show up and just see what their business has. They are not reactive, they are proactive. They take, on average, 1 to 2 hours, most of them on Sunday night or first thing Monday morning, to sit down, and before they've opened their email, before they've checked Slack, they are sitting down, they're looking at their week, and they are structuring it out. They are blocking out time to ensure that the most important work gets done. So tactically, the very first thing that you could do to start using your time more effectively is just blocking out 1 hour on Sunday or Monday morning to plan out your week before things get chaotic. The reason this is so simple but so powerful is, did you ever see that video by that college professor? And he has this big empty jar that he puts in front of the class, and then he starts piling all of these big rocks into the jar, right? He puts all these rocks in the jar, he fills it up, and he asks the class, is the jar full or is the jar not full? And the class is like, yeah, jar's full. Okay, great. And then he pours pebbles, a bunch of small gravelly pebbles into the jar and fills it up. Is the jar full or not full? Yeah, it's full. Okay, great. Then he takes sand and he pours the sand in and kind of shakes it down all through the pebbles and all through the rocks. Says, is the jar full? Yes, it's full. The challenge is when you put the sand in first and then the pebbles and then the rocks, it doesn't fit inside of the jar. So the purpose of this demonstration was to help us understand, how do we use our time? When we prioritize and put the biggest rocks into our jar, the biggest, most important things into our week first, and we block that out and we hold it, we are able to guarantee that every single week, the most important work gets done. And then we can layer in the pebbles. The pebbles are things like team meetings, meetings with clients, right? Those are the important things that need to get done, but are not the highest leverage things that are going to absolutely transform the business. Great, now we get to layer those in. And then last and finally, we add the sand. The sand is your emails, the sand is your Slack, the sand is the dropped balls and the client fires, and these things that ultimately are not that important, but take up a ton of time. The problem is that when we try and go into our week without pre-structuring it, it's like adding the sand into the jar first. There's always going to be a million things to get done, so many client fires, so many Slack messages, so many emails, and before we know it, we get to the end of the day and our entire day has been taken up with sand. We didn't leave any time left over for the pebbles or for the rocks. And as a result, nothing of real importance or high value actually got done. So the solution to this is simple. Add the rocks first. So on your calendar, as you're doing your hour-long prep at the beginning of the week, add your rocks. Time block in what I call deep work time. Right? These are 2 to 3 hour chunks, and the rules around deep work time are simple. During your deep work time, number 1, you will have notified your team that all notifications are going off. We don't check Slack, we don't check email, we don't check Instagram. This is our time to truly lock in, find our flow state, and take enormous action on the high leverage activities that are going to move the needle for our business. So I have 2 deep work chunks every single week, and those are sacred. I do not book client meetings. I don't let client fires interfere. That is the most important work that I can get done as a CEO. I block it out and I protect it with my life. Because otherwise, what happens? Otherwise, the sand will want to get in. The sand will always try and take over your rock time. And then we get to the end of the week and we haven't done anything that really moves the needle. So that's step number 1. We block in deep work time, then we layer in meetings, then we allow the rest of the empty space to get filled up with sand. Now you're probably thinking, sounds all well and good, Jhana, but how do I know what I should be focused on during that deep work time? Fantastic question. This is part number 2, right? It's all well and good that we have this time carved out, but if we're not using it on the right things, And it doesn't really make a difference, does it? So the next thing we have to figure out is what are the highest priority actions that I, as the CEO and founder of my business, should be taking every single week to move the needle forward? AKA, what does it actually mean to be a CEO? You would be shocked by how many incredible CEOs I know who cannot answer this question. What does it actually mean to be the CEO? What should I be working on? What does my company need from me? What does success in this role look like? We have to get super clear on that for ourselves and for our business. What does your business actually need from you? And this is where it gets tricky, because when you're small, what your business actually needed from you was a lot of execution. What it needed from you was to take massive action, knock out a huge to-do list every single day because there was nobody else around to do pretty much anything, and get it done. But now we've grown and scaled. Now we have a team that can get most everything done. Now it's actually not our job to do the things that we have hired a team to do. So what is really left over? What do CEOs actually do? In general, a couple of things. Number one, CEOs have and hold the vision, right? Our job as visionaries is to have and hold the vision. What does that actually mean? What it actually means is taking a step away from your business to check in with yourself, check in with your vision, and make sure that at all times you are guiding and leading your company in the most direct path towards that vision, right? So it actually doesn't look like work, it looks like space. For me, this means grabbing a journal and taking a hike up to a lake so that I can sit there and I can check in with my business and with my vision and make sure that I'm on track. Top CEOs like Sarah Blakely famously would get in her car, and even though it only took her 15 minutes to drive to the office, she would drive for 45 minutes just taking random turns around town, because that 45 minutes in her car was her deep think time to check in with her vision, have creative ideas, solve crunchy problems, and then go. So where before success looked like action, now success looks like space. Success looks like us actually taking the time to step away from the business, have better ideas, make better decisions, solve bigger problems, and check in with our vision and make sure we are always on track. So where do you do your best thinking, your most creative thinking, your most innovative ideas? Carve that out alongside your deep work time in your calendar, and understand that you protecting that you not letting the client fire that just exploded interrupt that deep think time, that you're not gonna allow the 5 Slack messages that came in this morning to distract you from taking a step away and going for a walk, that actually you taking that space is the highest value, most important thing that you can do for your business. It requires a huge behavior and mindset shift, but it will also unlock better ideas, better decisions, and better leadership for your company. So really quick, why do we do this? Why do we take the time and the effort to plan out our weeks, to focus on the highest leverage things? Ultimately, it's because we understand that if we can get more done with less time, we're not only going to grow a bigger version of our business, more revenue, we're actually going to become higher leverage, which means more profit, right? More output with less input. And the gap between those two becomes our profit and our profit margin. The challenge that I see in most businesses is that they have so much profit that is hiding in plain sight, leaking out of their business through the operational inefficiencies in how their team is using time, energy, setting up their calendars, these things that we've been talking about. There is so much hidden profit inside of your business right this second. And so me and my team pulled the data from the hundreds of businesses that we have worked with, and we compiled it into what I call the Hidden Profit Finder. This is a 10-minute diagnostic. It's going to ask you just a couple of questions about your business to help you pinpoint and target where is profit currently hiding in plain sight inside of my business, and what can I do as a CEO during all of this deep work and deep think time that I now have? What can I do to take that profit off of the table before it leaks out of my company? So if you want access to that, it's entirely free. You can grab the link in the description. And this is just a gift from me to you to help you identify some of those high leverage things that you can do to make your company more profitable starting this week. Okay, so we have determined that your job as a CEO looks a lot less like doing and a lot more like thinking, right? Ideas, decisions, and then the last big category I would throw in there are relationships, right? How can you as as a CEO, put your focus towards developing the relationships, the strategic partnerships, the referral partnerships, that just by getting one solid relationship in place, you're able to unlock the next 7 to 8 figures of growth for your business, right? So these 3 areas: ideas, decisions, relationships. That's what gets blocked into that deep think time as we're setting up our week. And we still do stuff, right? Like there's still work that needs to get done that we are the best people within the company to execute. And this is where we get back to that deep work time, right? This is where we are actually executing things within our business that are going to move it forward. The best CEOs I know don't just plan out their weeks, they actually plan out their quarters. And they do that strategic planning through a framework. The framework that we use for our clients are called OKRs, Objective Key Results. This framework is used by Google, by Bono, by the Gates Foundation. It's used by top companies everywhere to help not just the founder, but the entire team identify what is the single one objective, the most important thing that we as a business can achieve in the next 90 days. And then what are the 3 to 5 key results that are going to drive that objective forward. I have another video where I break down in depth exactly how to build OKRs. But the point of it remains, on a 90-day cycle, we need to be setting the number one most important objective for our business and the 3 to 5 key results. Then, when we show up every single week and every month and ask ourselves, what is the one thing that you can achieve this week that's going to move you towards your company objective, that's going to knock out one of those company key results? When we take the time to step out of our business and figure out what is truly the most important priority, then every action that we take for the next 90 days gets decided for us. Because the most important thing we can possibly do is achieve the priority, hit the objective. And so what this does is it simplifies our to-do list. Where before there were like 100 things that would all be really great to do and maybe kind of important, that simplifies down to like 20. These 20 things over the next 90 days are required in order to achieve the objective. Okay, great. Now I can take everything else, all the clutter, all the chaos, all the emails, all the Slack messages, all the stuff off of my plate, out of my purview, because it actually doesn't matter. It does not matter as much as getting this objective met. So this is why strategy and strategic planning is so important, which is what we're doing during our deep think time, right? We're taking time away to think of this stuff so that when it comes time to action it, we have not just clarity on what's most important, we have focus, and we're able to put everything that is not as important and not as high leverage to the side to make sure that every single week we are moving the needle on what we know to be the most important work within the business. The final, very important and most overlooked behavior that I see from top CEOs is what's called a retrospective. Great CEOs sit down on Friday or Saturday at the end of every single week, and sometimes every single day, and they check in with themselves and they ask themselves the question, how did I do, right? Not how did it go, how did I do? How did I do showing up and delivering on the priorities that I knew were important going into the week? How did I do protecting my deep think and my deep work time? How did I do leading the team? How did I do moving us towards the objective for the next 90 days? In exactly the same way that great sports teams will sit down and re-watch the game that they just played, great CEOs will sit down and play back the last week of performance within the business and see what they can learn. What went well, what could have gone better, and what will I do differently next week? These are the 3 questions to ask yourself in your retrospective. And what that does is that it means every single week you're learning. Every single week you're performing slightly better as a CEO. Every single week you are actually accelerating your growth and role as the CEO of the business. And as a result, every single week, your company is growing and accelerating because you are. So that's it. Now you have the blueprint, the plan of what it takes to be a top performing CEO, what it takes to achieve clarity within your business, focus on what's most important, and then execute it to make sure that the highest leverage things get done every single week. And every single week, you get 1% better at becoming the CEO that your business needs at its next stage of growth. The challenge is that this whole plan is reliant upon you having an A-player team and rock solid systems that can take all the tactical day-to-day, all of the stuff, all of the sand that would otherwise be filling up your jar, and that you have team and systems that are capable of taking care of that for you. So if we don't yet have that, if we're still feeling pulled into the minutia of our business, it's probably because we are either lacking systems or we're lacking team. And I break this down in my next video where I actually talk about which comes first, team, systems, how do we think about building and scaling these within our business? Because with these two things in place, what it truly unlocks in your business is you. Your time, your focus, and your ability to show up as a top performing CEO. So check that out, punch the subscribe button if this was helpful, and I will see you in the next one.